Hello, everyone. Welcome to the On-Chain India podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have Jelena from Noble. Noble is a very amazing company that is specifically designed, to issue digital asset stable coins and more, sort of native stable coins over there. And they've been the leader, in this digital asset, issuance sort of platform. Few statistics about them: they've raised more than $18 million. They're backed by amazing tier one funds like Paradigm, Wintermute, Foresight Ventures, Polychain, and others. And they support all the native stable coins which are circulated every day on that. So we are very excited to have Jelena onto On-Chain India podcast. Welcome, Jelena.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Amazing. So Jelena, let's deep dive into Noble. First, would love to understand your Web3 background and how did you come up in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Web3 background starts back in 2017, 2018. So we had the kind of first real ICO boom when you had all of these so-called kind of Ethereum killers raising a lot of money to create a kind of monolithic kind of chain that could support a lot more kind of data and smart contracts. And so I started working with a project called Definity. That was one of these projects that raised a significant amount of money to really kind of help scale the Web3 kind of developer environment. So I joined that as their first community manager. So I was responsible for building the early community for Definity. And then really from there was able to work across a variety of functions, including product, marketing, go-to-market, business development, user research, design, and so on. And so that really eventually took me to the Cosmos ecosystem, where I really resonated with this sort of vision for kind of app chains and sovereign app chains. And that thesis really resonated with me. So I worked with the Cosmos ecosystem. I've been working in the Cosmos ecosystem for the past few years, and then discovered really kind of the power and kind of scalability of stablecoins while I was in the Cosmos ecosystem, because of course Terra really took off, and Terra of course had its roots in the Cosmos ecosystem in terms of using the stack. And so of course when that blew up, I had this idea for Noble and having a much more reliable, safe, and secure app chain sort of dedicated towards stablecoin and real world asset issuance. And that's when I eventually left my previous role and started working on this full time. So yeah, really a meandering journey across a variety of roles, everything, as I said, from product to kind of user research and design, but ultimately found myself as a founder in this space, really because I had this kind of one pretty good idea, and of course executed on that idea and was able to kind of raise subsequent funding and build a team. And now our scope has actually grown beyond this original idea, which was actually to bring native USDC to the Cosmos ecosystem. And so we succeeded on that one kind of mission. We solved for liquidity fragmentation. We were able to kind of fulfill our job, and then from there we have scaled the roadmap and the vision, and are continuing to be focused on stablecoins and real world assets, and making sure they're seamlessly accessible on chain. There's delightful UX, and actually building an app layer kind of on top of this issuance platform that we've already built, of course. So yeah, in the last year, we've done $6.5 billion of transaction volume. We have over $500 million in TVL right now. Most of that is USDC, but we also support USDY, the EURe, USYC, and are in 2 weeks issuing and launching the Noble Dollar, our own stablecoin called USDN. And so that is really the next step here.
Amazing. I think the own Nobel dollar. I think it sounds really exciting, and looking forward to the announcement. So Jelena, coming a bit back, you mentioned you were having like a really safe and promising job, but you had this idea of Nobel, and then you thought of taking risk and really moving ahead. I think one of the fundamental things which a lot of early stage developers and founders face is while choosing their ideas, because obviously there are a couple of ideas they think this could be a potentially big one. And so what was your mental model while finalizing the Nobel, and how did you go about it?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that there was a real customer that wanted to use the service or product that we were looking to build, right? So, as I said, I was building the Cosmos ecosystem. We had Terra that, of course, collapsed. You had $40 billion worth of market cap just disappear almost overnight. And you had many projects in the ecosystem, in the Cosmos ecosystem, that really relied on UST as a native stablecoin on their platform, whether it's a DeFi protocol or a DEX or an NFT platform. And we went to these various kind of projects and we said, hey, we have this idea of how to bring native stablecoins, specifically USDC, to Cosmos. Do you support this idea? And one of our kind of major stakeholders was and continues to be DYDX. So of course they have a perps DEX where the only form of collateral is USDC. And they were very keen on building their V4 chain on Cosmos. But of course, they needed native USDC to make sure that there was a proper, kind of experience around their perp stacks. And so we wanted to make sure that this one customer and of course other chains of the ecosystem kind of supported this this idea. And so that was the first step. And then once we got their support, once we did more whiteboarding, more kind of planning around how the chain would be architected, what it would look like, how it would work, what the validator set would be, et cetera, et cetera. We went to Circle and got their support. And then they just said, you know what, we're going to issue USDC on Noble. And then at that point, I realized, okay, well, we have a business now. Let's start raising money. Let's actually fund this thing. And then that's when we raised our seed round. With Polychain leading the round. And we had a lot of angels and other funds like Wintermute, Circle Ventures, and others also participating, Borderless Capital. So I just wanted to make sure there was like validation to our idea and we weren't just raising money for, a generic kind of random idea, I guess.
Got it. I think very, very, very deep thoughts. I think validating the idea first, having the actual set of customers and demand. I think verifying it first, and then going for the fundraising. Right now, I think it makes the pitch more confident and more reliable. Yeah.
Yeah. I think typically people now are just kind of raising on like a narrative or a promise. And I think that's fine. There's like some really great ideas out there. But I think ultimately I'd love to see more founders actually raising on a particular use case or particular product that they can actually like execute on, but also that has longevity. And so for us, we do see stablecoins as sticking around no matter what happens in the crypto market. As a product, right? Like dollars on chain. These are things people want, even if they don't want to touch crypto, like beyond like stable coins, right? So we see stablecoins as like recession proof because they are kind of useful beyond speculative purposes.
Got it. Coming to the Nobel, Jelena, what is the major differentiation between the other blockchains issuance platforms, and like how did you strategize on keeping it very, very innovative and to the par? Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, obviously, there's stable coins and USDC, Tether. These are all available across a variety of protocols, right? You have Ethereum, Solana, Tron, Arbitrum, etc. But these protocols really aren't kind of focused on issuing beyond their immediate kind of ecosystem. So if you're a layer 2, obviously, you're hoping to attract layer 3s, roll-ups, kind of building on your infrastructure. And, those kind of protocols will likely source their stablecoin liquidity from kind of the core layer 2. But a lot of the times, actually, these protocols eventually want to transition away and become their own layer 1. I think Hyperliquid is a good example. And so what Noble does, assuming you can't be prioritized by the issuer to have native issuance, we service those kind of long tail of sovereign app chains that need native stablecoin liquidity. So if you think about it from the issuer's perspective, right, they have a lot of demand, right? Like Circle has a lot of demand for native stablecoins, for native USDC, and they have to prioritize which protocols they natively issue on. So like today, they announced we're issuing natively on Unichain, right? And that's fine, right? There's a lot of demand there. But there's a lot of builders, a lot of projects that also kind of need this native stablecoin liquidity that can't necessarily be prioritized immediately by Circle, and so or by other issuers. And so we want to make sure that we're kind of servicing this like long tail of protocols that again need this stablecoin liquidity. And so because we started out in the Cosmos ecosystem, which is highly fragmented, highly sovereign, right? Like every protocol is its own layer 1 with its own validator set, with its own security assumptions, with its own native token most often. We wanted to make sure that we also we kind of did our job to kind of issue stablecoins in that highly fragmented environment. And with that experience, we also realized we can do this, extend this to also EVM chains as well. So it's a very nice kind of confluence of events that have kind of brought us here. But it's really our experience kind of building in Cosmos that has led us here.
Got it. On the next part, right, Jelena, I mean, what benefits did you think of, like having a natively issued USDC in Cosmos, compared to the bridged versions, right? Because I think we have seen a lot of influx, coming over there.
Yeah, I mean, very basically UX, right? I think the bridges are really good at certain things, but it's taken them a long time to actually get really good at UX. And this like historical kind of UX challenges around like wrapping, unwrapping, multiple clicks, slippage. These are just things that obviously we don't have to deal with because these are kind of native stable coins. And so we wanted to just make sure that we were sort of solving for those UX challenges with the bridges with this like kind of new paradigm.
Got it. Coming on to the fundraising part, right? I think Jelena, you guys have managed to crack some like awesome tier 1 funds. Now I'll tell you the problem with early stage founders is the idea is selected, they're very keen, they have some customers, but a lot of times it's very difficult on what sort of strategy should be there on closing the fundraising, right? What was your strategy? Did you approach any angels, got some connections, or what was overall funding strategy for all the rounds that you did?
Yeah, I mean, number one was making sure we had a lead, a brand name, kind of blue chip lead fund, both on the seed stage and the Series A stage. Really, we wanted to make sure that the lead investor was somebody that we really enjoyed working with, but of course that had a certain kind of reputation. So of course, kind of on the seed, we had Polychain. On the Series A, we have Paradigm. And both funds are kind of very well respected in the space. And they also have a lot of resources and a lot of expertise and wisdom and knowledge to kind of guide their founders through the journey. So I wanted to make sure that like we got the lead right. So, we did get interest, from other funds, but eventually we had to kind of pass just because it wasn't just the right kind of partner that we wanted from like a brand name perspective. So really that was like my number one kind of goal. And then once we got that, the other sort of funds and angels sort of really quickly fell into place. It was very it was a lot more seamless and easy kind of getting the rest of the round filled out when that kind of brand name lead was in place. Yeah.
Got it. Uh, I think this is, once the funding is done, and we have seen like a lot of early stage, portfolio companies or founders. Once they've raised the round, obviously the next milestone is to have like a pre-series A or next round of funding, right? And I think a lot of this thing involves GTM, BD, strategizing, onboarding a lot of customers and stuff. How was the strategy of Noble, right when you raised the first round? And did you had like a complete map on when are you going to raise the second round, and these are the metrics that I need
Yeah,
to change? And especially given in the crypto environment, because a lot of things keep on changing.
yeah.
It's a volatile environment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we, as you know, as I mentioned before, we raised the seed round. We were very focused on like a singular goal, like let's raise money to bring USDC to Cosmos. And so once we executed on that, and there were challenges along that path, but once we executed on that, once there was very strong TVL, very strong metrics, very strong adoption, we realized, okay, now is time to raise the Series A, right? You always want to make sure you're raising when there's actual utility and kind of adoption of the thing that you're building. It's not always the case, right? Sometimes projects will raise multiple rounds even without like a live product. Again, I think that's risky. I think that's actually gonna make your job harder because you're going to have less direction and less focus as a founder and as a team. So for us, we had adoption. We kind of proved like, if you give us kind of funding, like we will do what we said with that funding. And oftentimes people don't do that, right? They get funding and they just like pivot like multiple times. And like that's fine. Like sometimes like it's necessary to pivot, but for us, we were very, very focused and very much with the mindset that if we can get this thing right, which is bringing native stables to this like highly fragmented ecosystem of chains, we will be able to do many more things, because that will kind of give us enough experience and enough ability and reputation to actually scale that vision. And that's exactly what we did. So we started raising in this kind of winter, spring of 2023 for the Series A. And yeah, it came together pretty quickly because people already knew us. We had a live product. We had real users, real demand. And then we just, started raising and then closed it, pretty quickly after. So that's kind of that was the strategy I took. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns and things that can go wrong within that, but that was the basic idea.
Got it. I think this would be very helpful, specifically for developers and founders, who are planning their, next set of rounds in that. Jelena, coming on to the, other partnerships and stuff, are you guys open, or do you have any developer sort of programs or any strategic, partnerships sort of startups? And what is the best way usually, to have that thing?
Yeah, right now we are very focused on B2B. So we have a lot of partners kind of on the asset issuer space, on the exchange side, but we are going to be expanding quite significantly into the kind of developer community, where we will be actually launching our own Noble app layer that will be sort of available to kind of a larger developer community, where they can sort of build these like highly performant specified stablecoin applications on the Noble chain. So that is coming in the next few weeks. So I would just really urge people to kind of stay in touch. You can follow us on Twitter at Noble_XYZ, or on our website at www.noble.xyz. So that's coming soon. And yeah, thank you for asking.
Awesome. I think it would be exciting, and we'll definitely connect few of our portfolios who are into this, DeFi, or who have some strategies with the stablecoin, sort of things. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool.
One last question, Jelena. What would be your suggestions or couple of ideas for founders who are starting their journey now, considering all the regulatory environments and the kind of hope this crypto world has gotten, what would you advise them to build on or focus on? Any couple of thoughts, interesting thoughts that you think, okay, this idea might pick up? Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely focus on having like a very specific application. So like, whether that's like deploying an application specific chain or an application specific roll up, try not to get caught in this kind of mindset that you need to build a general purpose chain to succeed. So find one really good application, whether that's payments or lending or AI agents or NFTs or something like this, and kind of like go all in on one app. That is like my number one kind of recommendation. And then the second one is make sure stablecoins are a big part of like your UX and your product, because again, these are very familiar pieces of technology, right? Like this is like on-chain money, right? Like people know like what it means to have dollars in their bank account. So why don't we bring that to Web3 apps, right? Why don't we bring that kind of natively on-chain to different use cases? And so definitely make sure that like there is a stable coin kind of component of whatever it is that you're kind of building. And yeah, just like focus on like a very specific application, go all in on that. And then of course you can scale from there. But again, going general purpose first, I believe is like the wrong way to go about it. So that would be my advice.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Jelena.
Thank
I
you.
think it was great chatting, and I think a lot of exciting stuff, which could be done. And the stablecoin first approach, the passion that you're carrying about it, I'm pretty sure Noble is going to be a great, successful company.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully, a lot of folks, can integrate or partner with you guys and be along with your journey.
Thank you. Of course. Thank you so much.